Welcome back to Just Railroading. Alright, everybody. Hope y'all having a Merry Christmas and had a good Thanksgiving and everything. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but I picked this up about 3 weeks ago. This is an M.T.H Railking. It's basically like the Lionel turbines. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Paint's in good shape on it. It's got a die-cast metal tender. It's pretty heavy. I got this engine for $15, if you can believe that or not. The problem is it doesn't have a board in the back. Doesn't have that board that you need to run the engine. And at the time, I didn't think you needed the board to run the locomotive, but you do. The board is basically the E unit. It also has the sounds, so none of this works. You put the train on put the locomotive on the track, turn the power on. All it does is the headlight comes on and it starts to smoke, like smoke coming out of the chimney or the boiler, whatever, coming out of the stack. It has a little fan-driven smoke unit in there. It just starts to run, and the headlights come on, and that's all it does. It doesn't try to move. So I tried to find the board. They don't make them, I've heard. I looked one up. I looked up one of the electronic E-units. So that's what I was going to do. I was just going to put an electronic E-unit in it and be done with it. But those are about anywhere between 70 to 100 bucks for those things. And I didn't give it 15 for this engine. So I really didn't want to put a whole bunch of money in it because I kind of like the idea of having something for $15 that works. So what do? Well, I thought, I've got a engine that I had when I was younger, or still have it. Bought it brand new, but it has a DC motor in it, and so does this one, DC motor. So I thought, if I get one of those that's in pretty decent shape, maybe not in the greatest cosmetically, and take that board out, I can make this thing run again. And that's exactly what I did. So here's the unit, the E unit out of that. This runs a DC motor, and we'll go through what it does. But I've got less than $30 in this because I got two engines. One was an MPC era, one was I guess you'd call it the modern era, had this board in it. So I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to blow something as soon as I hook it in. I don't know that yet, but we'll find out, I guess. But I was able to fix the other two engines back. So, I'm not really out anything. I got 2 extra locomotives. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. But let's go ahead and open this engine up and see what's in here. And try to put this board either in here, or I might even put it in the tender. I don't know yet. It just depends on what's easiest. Right now I can see I could probably put the switch in the tender, because there that is. So I know that much of it would work, and that's just to switch the unit from run or neutral forward reverse to whichever one you want. That's all that switch does. But let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what we got. So I don't know what all is going to be involved taking this thing apart. I seen one on eBay, disassembled for sale, and I kind of saw what the insides look like. It's basically a DC motor, runs these back two wheels, and it's got the smoke unit. That's all I saw. So we'll see what it has. And I'm sorry if it's a little dark in here. I did get brand new lights and put up. I've got one literally overhead, but the camera shadows it. So unless I had a light right here, I know I had a few people telling me they couldn't see some of my old videos. And when I'm editing them, I can see it just fine. But I know editing and posting are two different things. And also, when I rewatched it on my TV, YouTube, I can't see it. I'm just like those people. I can't see what I'm doing, even though I could see it plain as day when I was doing it on my computer screen. I know I'm probably blocking this, but I'm just taking it apart. Pull screws till something happens. That's what you got to do sometimes. This thing was in a box sometime or another in its life with foam, styrofoam. Okay, that's pretty simple. There's the shell. Shell's in really good shape. It's got a few nicks, but it's in pretty good shape. Alright. So we got our smoke unit. We got a board on the smoke unit. We got a fan-driven smoke unit too. I'm assuming this board probably converts this to AC or DC from AC power. And then looks to me like, I don't know, there's a good bit of room in here. I can maybe get that board to stay still. These wires go to our motor. This is the ground and this is track power. So I've got to figure out what track power is. I think it might be this red wire here. That's our track power, I believe. I'm wanting to try to fix this to where I'm not destroying this original plug down here. The original M.T.H plug, because I kind of would like to maybe one day put this back to sound. I don't think this thing will have any trouble doing this. That's got to be easier than that Lionel. That Lionel is pretty rough. That's positive though, I can tell. So let's see. I'm going to stop you guys for a minute so I can get my head wrapped around what I'm looking at here. Get my bearings on what runs this and what runs everything else. Alright, so I kind of had a second to think of how I can do this. So, the only thing I don't like is I'm not going to be able to have this switch accessible. That's your reverse unit switch. You flip that off and on to change directions. Now, I do have kind of an idea of what I could do. Is maybe get it and put it back in here. And maybe I can just take this out and leave it out. Not have this. And then, let's see. So this one's running back here. It looks like they're all running back to this point and then they're coming back up. The only one that's not... Oh, never mind. They all are. Okay. So all the wires except for the smoke unit. It goes into this switch. So there's already a switch here just for the smoke unit off on. So we've got smoke unit off on, and we've got the motor. So the motor is just sitting here dead. That would be motor, power those two pins. And then you've got all these wires in the center are positive center rail. So the tender provides the ground to run the motor. For the, well, yeah, for the running the motor and the board and all that. So the locomotive provides center rail pickup for the tender when it had its board on, I guess, these two center pins. I don't know if they're both hooked together. The wires are all hooked together, so I'd assume. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I guess that's right. But, yeah. I think I'm getting the game plan here in my head. What I can do. Everything's coming back to this center joint. So if I desolder this off here, take this loose, leave it off. It's all hooked together anyway, so it ain't gonna matter. Maybe I can simplify all these into one joint. I'm thinking this gray one is the main power. So if I hook the gray one to the red one, and then the brown one, just I could ground it right there to one of those screws. This I might can run it back and stick it up in there like so, where you could reach back between the locomotive and the tender and flip that switch. I might could even drill and tap those. I don't know. That switch fits pretty good up in there. You can see that. I could just glue it with a little bit of glue. Alright, I'm going to get a game plan. I'm going to start desoldering, detaching, figuring stuff out, simplifying this, and I'll be back and show you what I've got. Alright, so I've kind of undone and figured it out here. So this is your smoke. No, this is the headlight. Okay, this is your track power. This is your smoke unit right here. I went ahead and just pulled that little board off, and they were all in holes, but they were still connected together. If that makes sense. So I don't know what's what with that, but it doesn't really matter. So basically what I'm going to do is combine all these together to one power supply, basically. Or into one wire, whatever you want to call it. Don't know exactly how I'm going to mount this in here. Could glue it. I know we got plenty of room. I'm going off of the fact that how tall this is. Our width ain't quite there, I don't think. It might be. No, our width ain't there. Okay. Width and our depth may not even be there. I have no idea. Ain't a lot of room. Might just have to let it be loose. Unless I can get it to settle down inside of there somehow. Maybe I can flip it around. Yeah. Flip it around maybe. Yeah, we'll try that. Flip it around this way. Yeah, that'll work, maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Switch ain't gonna be long enough there. Dang it. Let's see about this way. Switch is long enough that way, so that would work that like that. Maybe I can super glue it to there somehow. Okay, I'm gonna start actually doing some wiring, and we'll see what we can come up with. Alright, well, I'm ready for a test now to see if this thing will work. I got everything hooked up just like it was in the line now. Got the smoke unit switch in. Or it was already in. I got the smoke unit switch, the smoke unit, and the headlight, and the board positive all hooked together in one spot. I got both positive and negative hooked to the motor, which it really didn't matter which side, because it's a DC motor. They either go one way or the other. And I got my ground hooked in, so I'm going to give it a test really fast. And we'll see what this thing will do, and hopefully it runs. If not, I'm going to be very disappointed. But at the same time, I really don't know what to expect. Okay, that ain't going to work too good. So I can't keep it from flipping around on itself. Okay, there we go. I should just be able to hook, well, I better not hook to the board. I better hook into something that I know is conductive. Maybe that part of the frame will work. Let's see what it'll do. Okay, neutral. Ah, ain't that disco? Little smoke unit will work in a minute. There it goes. So it's not going to have the run smoke unit where it chuffs with the beats. But again, this is a turbine, so in reality it wouldn't chuff. It would just blow. So I think that'll be pretty realistic to a turbine. So I think we can button this thing back up and see what it'll do on the track. So I think that's a pretty cool little rig. Ooh, it's filling the building up. Alright. Oops. Touched or something. Yeah. I figured it would do just fine. Alright. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that was a good idea. Alright, I just got to put this all back in that shell. That's going to be the tricky part. Alright, so here it is right now before I start trying to put the shell back on. Put the switch in right back here. I think that's a pretty good location for it. Put a little zip tied all the wires up, and I glued the board in place. I'm hoping it clears. Don't know that for sure yet, but I'm hoping that corner clears. Another way I could have done it, and I was just thinking about this. This right here has a DC motor too. This board runs the DC motor all the time. So what I could have done was eliminated this board, this half of the board, sawed it off, whatever. I could have got this board to set down in this inset a little more. I could have run 2 wires off this and run that DC fan motor. And then the fan would only run when the motor's running. So the faster the motor goes, the faster the fan and the steam blower would go, which would be more realistic, I guess. But I don't know. I kind of like the fact that that kind of takes care of itself. But I could have done that if I could still do that if this doesn't fit, which I'm hoping it fits and I ain't got to do that. But if it don't, we'll have to open it back up and do that. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out with the switch being back here and everything. It's all self-contained now. It doesn't need the tender. So let's put it back together. Alright, I did have to make a little bit of a modification to the shell because of that switch. I had to notch it right there to get the switch to stick back through, but that just kind of helps it stay in place, I guess. So let's put this thing back together and we'll see what it'll do. I do have to still work on the tender. There's some things I'm wanting to do to that, and I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do. But I think this was a successful, very successful repair, because you can't get anything for these, and what you can get is not cheap, because you're going to have to buy a whole nother locomotive or a tender. It must be seated in because it's tightening up. It ain't squishy. The front wasn't seated. It had to drop in place. Whatever that was all about. Okay. Alrighty. M.T.H Line L Special. Pretty happy with that. That's pretty good. Got that switch back there we can flip. Smoke unit works, headlight works, reverse units work. Everything's there. No tender. No ugly plug, nothing. Why didn't they do that from the factory? Don't know why. Now on the tender, all I'm going to do, I'm going to take this front truck off. I'm wanting to drill another hole right about here, because this thing has like a mile between the back of the cab and the back of the tender. It does not look good at all. Even the line nails look better. So I'm going to put another hole right about here. I think that'll be just about in the right spot. And I'm just going to tuck all these wires back under here. Probably put this in here too, just so it's with it. Zip tie it up or whatever, and let it be. Alright, so I got the old turbine up on the upper loop. Got a little bit of a train behind it. I figured I'd go ahead and show what I bought to fix that thing with. This one right here. I got this one, this, that, and that for, I think it was 50 bucks off of eBay. So 50 plus 15 is what I've got in these and that. I don't think that's too bad. And these still run. I got this one and this one, of course, together. I pulled the motor out of this one, put it in this one. Then I had one over there on the shelf. Pulled the motor out of it, put it in this one. So I swapped parts back and forth between 4 locomotives, basically, to build 3 decent ones. This one still has a little something wrong with it. It's an MPC motor. This doesn't have a lot of power for this heavy die-cast shell, so, you know. But, yeah. See this thing run. Alright, well there it was. Runs pretty good. It does need 2 new traction tires though. They keep popping off. So I'm going to try to get those. I got them ordered. That's right. I ordered them. So they should be here hopefully within the next week or so. But hope you guys found this video helpful, at least. Maybe fix one of these with a pretty cheap solution. You can get these for about $25–30. This one was in pretty bad shape. That's the only reason why I used it. The front was broke. I super glued it back on, but it was broke. Kind of see the glue in there on the front pallet. But it wasn't too bad of an engine other than that. But you know. And this one was in good shape for what it is. It just needs, really don't need anything. I would like to find one with an E-unit in it though, to put it back original. This one had the E-unit, and I took it out of that one, put it in this one. But, you know, what you gotta do sometimes. But, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Still haven't got the table done yet. Still working on it. Just gotta clean this mess up now, and I can get that foam over there glued on. But, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. That's the next one. Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.